It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today kicks off Cyber Monday, and we're going to see how its relevance is now more important than ever.
Time to warm up. Those are wind chills we're experiencing right now. We'll find out just how cold we're going to get from the Skywatch storm tracker.
And we see how a company out of Utah is creating the agriculture of the future. KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Health officials warn COVID cases could see a steep rise in the next few weeks following the holiday travel. Health officials warned against gathering for the holiday, and now many are getting tested for COVID-19. Hospitalizations are already at record highs in 33 states, and officials with the White House Coronavirus Task Force say it will get worse. More than 266,000 Americans have died from COVID-19. The Negro League's Baseball Museum in Kansas City announces it will be closed for the next 10 days due to positive coronavirus tests. 2 staff members have tested positive. Guests will be welcome back Tuesday, December 8th. Well, after Black Friday and before Cyber Monday becomes Small Business Saturday, shopping holiday dedicated to supporting local establishments. Here in the 4 states, shoppers got out to support some of their favorite local boutiques like Miss Daisy's in Joplin, hoping to snag some good deals on gifts ahead of Christmas. And this year, Small Business Saturday takes on added importance as shops like this one hope to make up for financial losses suffered as a result of the pandemic. 2020 has been hard on businesses and consumers alike. The owner of Miss Daisy says this year's turnout was not as big, but it was still exciting to see customers out shopping in person rather than online.
It's been a hard year. This has been the craziest year. So it just gets people to remember, there are small businesses here, whether it be a restaurant or a local shop like ours, that it's been a tough time. People aren't getting out like they usually do.
10 customers who spent at least $150 took home free gift bags from Miss Daisy's. One small business in Webb City is kicking off its busiest time of the year. The Bridgestone Christmas Tree Farm in Webb City opened this weekend, drawing holiday lovers in search of the perfect evergreen. After selecting their tree, families shop for ornaments and other decorations. More people are going all out for Christmas this year, hoping to raise spirits and brighten up their homes during these unprecedented times.
I think people were looking for something to get outside and do, and especially with travel being restricted, they knew they were going to stay home for Christmas, so there's probably more of a demand for Christmas trees.
Johnson says Friday was one of their busiest days. Well, over in Pittsburgh, the Jolly Fox Brewery decided to take advantage of game day with Small Brewery Sunday. The idea is to encourage patrons to drink local while they're out holiday shopping. Jolly Fox offered specials on their menu and merchandise for the occasion. The deals kept foot traffic moving at a steady pace throughout the day. 2 New York City guys are packing in the love to those less fortunate and taking it to the city streets during the COVID-19 crisis in backpacks. Jeffrey Newman and Jason Connor are taking backpacks full of daily hygiene and health items to the homeless in New York through their program called Backpacks for the Street. Since March, they've given out more than 13,000 backpacks, 200 gallons of hand sanitizer, and 18,000 masks. They say the backpacks are more than a handout. They also hope they can start a dialogue with those who feel isolated or invisible. Good program.
Great gesture by them to take care of that vulnerable population, and also too, Tanya, as we get ready to wrap up November, turn toward December. If you look at the northeastern portion of the United States and really what they're going to encounter this week with cold temperatures, and they're going to end up with rain and snow here this week. So those guys are doing yeoman's work right there, trying to take care of a whole bunch of people. That is tremendous. A live look from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. We've got a cold 4-state morning on our hands, a temperature of 25, but a wind chill of only 17. That humidity, it's actually increasing here just a little bit, but it's still going to be on the dry side today, and that wind is going to pick up from the north-northwest. Here's actual temperatures, well below the freezing mark, 25 in Pittsburgh, 27 in Miami, and then 26 in Neosho. So it's going to take a while before we even get to the old 32-degree mark. Pay attention to those pipes if you have issues at your house or anything, because this is going to be a trend that we're going to see here for the next several days. Very clean Skywatch storm tracker. All the cloud cover are really on the other side of Springfield for the most part. The bus stop forecast just as a matter of keeping them warm on the way to school, because that north wind is going to be enough to combat the sunshine. So even though it's going to be a beautiful four-state morning, this cold air mass with everything coming out of Canada right there, it's going to take a while before we even get above 32. This is that mess that we were talking about in the northeastern portion of the U.S. Everything from thunderstorm activity ranging from the coast to the Great Lakes, and then you've got some Midwest snow that will continue its pattern all the way toward the Atlantic Ocean. On the backside of the jet stream, however, got some high pressure right there that really is going to make for a delightful Monday and Tuesday. It's just not going to be much of a warm-up, as we'll go low to mid-40s for the afternoon hours, and then once again overnight we're going to drop down below freezing. Future track will show you that on Monday and Tuesday we stay on the clear and dry side, albeit the cool one. Now Tuesday we'll actually be able to make it up into the 50s, so a little bit better than what we experienced this afternoon. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, it's got a chance for a wintry mix. We're not looking at anything widespread. Shouldn't really hamper any travel by any means, because it's not going to be a whole lot of Gulf moisture compared to the dry air mass with the cooler temperatures. But that, we'll still keep our eyes on that for the most part. I think the important thing to remember is below freezing pretty much each and every night/morning. Tanya?
All right, well, coming up, Oklahoma now allows nurses who have contracted COVID-19 to continue to work. We're going to have that story coming up. And we stopped over at Pittsco to see what kind of wacky science they have going on. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The Federal Aviation Administration says it has supported the first mass air shipment of a COVID-19 vaccine. FAA says it established a COVID-19 air transport team in October to ensure safe, expeditious, and efficient transportation of vaccines. It said several vaccines needed to be transported with dry ice, and it was working with manufacturers, air carriers, and airports to provide guidance on regulations to safely transport large quantities of the hazardous substance in air cargo. Well, some medical professionals disagree with Oklahoma's decision to allow COVID-positive nurses and staff to continue working as long as they're not showing symptoms. The Oklahoma State Department of Health says it should only be allowed as a last resort. Eric Payne has the story.
Some medical professionals agree with the health department's latest guidelines, letting asymptomatic workers continue working even after they test positive for COVID-19. But they emphasize only as a last resort, and even then, they're wary of the idea. In a press conference this week by the Healthier Oklahoma Coalition, medical professionals are torn between OSDH's new guidelines.
It is a mixed message to the public to allow asymptomatic COVID-positive nurses, physicians, and other healthcare workers to work.
Jane Nelson is the executive director of the Oklahoma Nurses Association. She says those workers should be home quarantining like everyone else who tests positive.
I'm not so sure how healthcare employers are able to separate those COVID-positive, asymptomatic COVID-positive workers from those that aren't COVID-positive.
Nelson points to common areas in hospitals and nursing homes like hallways, restrooms, and supply rooms as problem spots. She says it could unnecessarily increase the spread of COVID-19. Oklahoma State Medical Association President George Monks says the state should try other paths to lower the spread instead.
You know, that should be a last resort, so there's some other mitigation efforts that we can do before we go to the last resort.
The OSDH says hospitals and nursing homes should instead recruit more staff, hire temporary staff, or transfer patients to other care centers with adequate staff. United Nations AIDS says the pandemic has pushed efforts to address AIDS infections further off track, and that goals that had been set for this year are being missed. They say they expect to see up to nearly 300,000 additional new HIV infections between now and the year 2022, and up to 148,000 more AIDS-related deaths. The American Heart Association suggests women approaching menopause are more susceptible to heart disease because their ovaries are producing less estrogen. Doctors have long linked estrogen with cardiovascular health. With Christmas fast approaching, the North Pole is gearing up for an influx of mail as children write their letters to Santa. The Joplin Parks and Rec Department is making it easy for you to make sure your children's wishes are read. Joplin Parks and Rec's Letters to Santa campaign is underway, giving kids the opportunity to have their wishes sent off to the North Pole via mail. Kids can write a letter addressed to 9 Reindeer Road, North Pole, and drop it off at the Santa mailbox with the Parks and Rec Department, and they will send the letters to Santa. Each letter written to Santa will also get a letter from him in return. The campaign happens every year as a way to help Santa out during the holidays.
The last day is December 7th to turn in letters, so that ensures that Santa has enough time to get them and get them mailed back. But sometimes it's after Christmas before he can write back because he's just so busy.
All right, better get those letters in now. You can find more information on the complete campaign on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Special thanks to Joplin Parks and Rec for using that line that they have to Santa to make our 4-state kids extremely happy. Wonderful job by everybody there at Joplin Parks and Rec. I did a little impromptu Christmas light looking this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you head out to?
Started off down one neighborhood, and next thing you know, we'd canvassed the entire town. It was absolutely gorgeous. All of you that have those Christmas lights up, people like me and the guests, would greatly appreciate it, being able to cruise through and see what you've done in your neighborhood. Our weather almanac for this last day of November. Now, while it's cold this morning, we're nowhere close to the old record from 1976 where it dropped down to 9 degrees, but make sure you put a coat on if you want to get what's left of the full beaver moon. Better hurry up because it's just about to go down, but if you did miss it, that's a great shot of it from earlier this morning, actually part of a lunar eclipse, and that's compliments of our good friend Emmett Sullivan. He is our resident full moon photographer, and every shot he sends us is just absolutely gorgeous. Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, a wind chill right now of only 17 degrees. These are actual temperatures, everybody well below the freezing mark with a clean Skywatch storm tracker, but of course the lack of cloud cover also means that we've dipped as low as 13 degrees as far as the wind chill in Neodesha. Trio of 17s running from Webb, Carthage, and Mount Vernon, and only 14 right now in Fort Scott. So make sure they're all bundled up as the Thanksgiving break comes to an end and we get ready to head back to school with a north wind coming in at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's why we're so cold. Look at the jet stream grabbing all that cold Canadian air up there, single digits up in Grand Forks and Minneapolis, and just shooting it all the way down to the Gulf. That's pretty impressive as far as size and scope of the cold front. So we'll go mid-40s today. A little bit better tomorrow. We'll throw some 50s up there. And really what we're looking at, Wednesday and Thursday, next shot for a little rain. It's not going to be widespread, and the mix shouldn't hamper travel at all. But just one thing I want everybody to be apprised of, because our overnight lows will consistently drop below the freezing point. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll is about holiday decorations, asking if you have a certain time that you put them up. We'll begin our comments with Carrie Wagner. Carrie says you put them up whenever you want to. It's your house and your decorations. Tara Sanders says we always put our tree up after Thanksgiving and then take it down after Jan 1. Rocky Cunningham, reminding us that an empty Christmas wrapping paper tube is always handy when it comes to whacking people on the head. I agree with that. And Romelda Patterson had the tree up about 4 days before Thanksgiving. Need a happy feeling because of the year that we've had. Completely understand, Romelda. On our Insta poll this morning, asking you, when's it all right to start decorating for the holidays? 81% right now, overwhelmingly. The majority vote getter saying after Thanksgiving, compared to 13% saying after Halloween. 6% of you saying, hey, it's never too early. Now, with the weather turning on us and safety precautions in place, we're encouraging kids to continue learning outside of school. But of course, as a parent, I can tell you, it can be a little bit more of a challenge. But that's why our own Jesse Irwin stopped over at Pittsco Education to learn an easy STEM activity you can try with your kids and do so with everyday household items.
This morning we are here with Hannah and Anna Goody, and we are talking to you guys about one particular area of concentration, which is
shapes. We're building straw structures today, and so we're focusing on our geometric shapes like a cube and a pyramid.
Now, Hannah, you are in what grade?
Third grade.
Third grade. And have you learned all this stuff already? Okay, so you can help walk us through this. It looks like you got it down. We're building these blocks. What does it take to build one of these cubes?
Oh, sure. Well, this is our Try This Kit is what we call it. And it's actually composed of things that you might just already have around your house or in your craft supplies. We have a pipe cleaner and we have some paper straws. And so we're building, Hannah's building right now, it's a 3-way joint. It's just a way to connect the straws together so that we can build that shape. Yeah.
All right, so what's the first step here? And this is just with a pipe cleaner.
Just with a pipe cleaner.
All right. So 1/3 of the way, fold it down on both sides.
You twist it so it's secure.
And then fold
And
both
you fold
to the
each
middle.
end halfway to the middle. So we can build, what should we build right now, Hannah? The triangle or the pyramid? Okay, so what's next? So we need to build more of these joints now, don't we? Right? And that's what you were starting on. So why doesn't Jesse use some of these joints? And
Do you mind if I use one you made? It's much better than the one that I made.
So we're teaching them, one, to kind of look at shapes in a different way, in that 3D, more than one-dimensional look.
Right.
And so that helps with their spatial awareness and also our hand-eye coordination, all the different folds we're making with our pipe cleaner.
And frankly, if I'm able to do this, I'm pretty sure all kids can do this because yeah, how am I doing? Does this looks like I'm getting somewhere with
Looks
this.
like you're getting ready to make a cube. And so she's going to make
Oh, you're making a triangle.
a triangle. Yep.
So you can make a cube, you can make a triangle, you can really make any shape, no?
You really could.
What are some other supplies you can add into the equation here? So you've got straws, you've got pipe cleaners.
Pipe cleaners.
What else?
If you wanted to, I think you could do anything with this. Like if you wanted to, let's say, take your cube and build a house out of it.
Right.
If you take that pyramid that you're going to make and attach it to there, you could cover your house. You could build walls with paper. You could do that. So
That's really fun. Well,
yeah.
Hannah, Anna, thank you guys so much for showing us this. Appreciate it. Look at this triangle you got going here.
On our morning show page, go to KOAMnewsnow.com. Be back right after this.
Well, with Christmas fast approaching, the North Pole's gearing up for an influx of mail as children write their letters to Santa, and the Joplin Parks and Rec Department is making it easy for you to ensure your children's wishes are read. KOAM's Caitlin Shive tells us more.
He's making a list and checking it twice, and although Santa may not be coming to town just yet, you still have time to write him a letter for Christmas.
He wants to partner with us, and it's just an easy thing that we can do to help get letters to him a little bit faster.
The Joplin Parks and Recreation's Letters to Santa campaign is underway, giving kids the opportunity to have their wishes sent off to the North Pole via mail.
We'll need to put Santa's address, which is 9 Reindeer Road, North Pole. And then they'll just need to get it in our mailbox, either here or at Academy. And then in the letter, so they'll need the address, and they'll need their wish list, their name, and their return address.
The campaign happens every year as a special way to give Santa some extra help during the holidays.
We've been doing it for a really long time, but we love partnering with Santa.
6-year-old Nakaya Thomas is excited to write her letter to Santa this year with hopes of getting a crystal flyer for Christmas.
It's like this fairy, and it can be pink or purple, and you put up your hand, and then it starts flying, but if you put it down low, it starts flying low.
She's got a growing list of gifts she'd like from Santa.
A phone, a new tablet.
A new tablet, and what else? A swimming pool? Didn't you say that?
As the saying goes, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, and here's why. Every kid who writes a letter to Santa and drops it off for the Parks and Rec Department to send to the North Pole will get a letter from Santa in return.
The last day is December 7th to turn in letters, so that ensures that Santa has enough time to get them and get them mailed back. But sometimes it's after Christmas before he can write back because he's just so busy.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
You can find the full information for Joplin's Letters to Santa campaign in this article on our website at koamnewsnow.com. All right, it's time to honor today's four-state hero. Staff Sergeant Richard Stocker served in the Air Force during the Korean War, a native of Carthage, Missouri. We salute you, Staff Sergeant Richard Stocker, our four-state hero.
When you live
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Health officials warn COVID cases could see a steep rise in the next few weeks following holiday travel. Health officials had warned against gathering for the holiday, and now many are getting tested for COVID-19. Hospitalizations are already at record highs in 33 states, and officials with the White House Coronavirus Task Force say it will get worse. More than 266,000 Americans have died from COVID-19. President-elect Biden will make several historic firsts with key cabinet picks. This as the man who oversaw security of the 2020 presidential election speaks for the first time to 60 Minutes. Deborah Alfarone has the latest on the presidential transition from Washington.
My fellow Americans.
President-elect Biden will be receiving his first full intelligence briefing today as President Trump continues his baseless claims of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election.
We did a good job. We did it right.
The president fired Chris Krebs, who headed up security for the election, as the director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Krebs, speaking to 60 Minutes, backed up his claim that this year's vote was the most secure in U.S. history.
I have confidence in the security of this election because I know the work that we've done for 4 years in support of our state and local partners. I know the work that the intelligence community has done, that the Department of Defense has done, that the FBI has done.
President Trump again making unsupported claims in his response on Twitter. 60 Minutes never asked us for a comment about their ridiculous one-sided story on election security was probably our least secure ever. Several places, including Wisconsin and counties in Pennsylvania, will be certifying their votes today. Meantime, CBS News has learned President-elect Joe Biden is planning to nominate 2 women of color to major roles, Neera Tanden as his White House budget director and Cecilia Rouse to chair the Council of Economic Advisors. This after naming an all-female communications team over the weekend.
CBS News has also learned that former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen will likely be nominated for Treasury Secretary. She would be the first woman to hold the job. Now, Biden, in the meantime, suffered hairline fractures in his foot while playing with his dog yesterday. It's expected he'll require a walking boot for several weeks. Let's send it over to Michael for a look at your forecast.
That, of all the things, playing, try to, make the pet happy, and you never know. It's 2020, right? Isn't that indicative of this year? Yeah. All right, Tanya, all the action really east of the Mississippi, and they got a little bit of their mess on their hands, ranging from the Ohio River Valley, where we're starting to see some snow materialize, to a whole bunch of rain along the mid-Atlantic up to the northeastern portion. You notice it even drops all the way down to Florida. We're starting to see a little action in the Pacific Northwest right here. We'll break down the jet stream, explain why we stay cold and dry today. And speaking of a chill in the air from the Freeman Health System sky camera right now, we're talking about 25 degrees, only feeling like it's 17. These are actual temperatures far below the 32-degree mark. How about a 22 right now in Chanute, 26 in Neosho, and 25 in Pittsburgh. Skywatch storm tracker, it is clear as a bell, that is for sure. Even the cloud cover's on the other side of Springfield right now. But that lack of cloud cover also means wind chills as low as 12 in Neodesha, 18 in Carthage, and 21 in Grove. Here is that jet stream that we were talking about, with the trough creating all the thunderstorm and snow activity for the Northeast. You notice up to the top here, it grabs the cold Canadian air and just whips it right through the 4 states. As a matter of fact, it makes it all the way to the Gulf. So abnormally cool for this last day of November, all the way through the southwestern portion of the United States. We normally be about 52, 53 degrees this time of year to close out November. We're going to be about mid-40s. Even with the sunshine, it's going to be a good north wind that'll gust up to 20 miles per hour. And it's going to keep us cool and once again drop below freezing overnight. We'll be pretty mild on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday a little bit better. We'll even see some 50s. But then on Wednesday and Thursday, a chance for a little wintry mix because of the cold air. It's not going to be widespread. Shouldn't hamper travel because we're not going to have a whole lot of Gulf moisture to flip over. And then Friday, just looking at rain. Saturday and Sunday got more sunshine. But once again, it's just going to be a chilly week. And those overnight lows consistently at 32 or below. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Hong Kong reports 150 new coronavirus infections on Sunday. That's the highest single-day case increase since August 2nd. According to the city's health officials, only 6 of those cases were imported from overseas. In response, the government announced a suspension of in-person school classes starting Wednesday. Wilton Gregory wasn't raised Catholic, but today Gregory, the Archbishop of Washington, made church history, becoming the first Black American to earn the rank of cardinal. CBS's Chris Livesay is at the Vatican.
Wilton Daniele Gregory.
That's Latin for Wilton Daniel Gregory. Add a ring and a red hat, and you're looking at history. Due to the coronavirus, there were more masks than fanfare, but that didn't take away from the ceremony's profound significance, especially for African Americans.
How important is it for them to see you now become a cardinal?
The first individual achieves a certain public recognition, the entire family celebrates, and I think that's what's going on with the African American community right now.
His ministry has been marked by welcoming diversity, including the LGBTQ+ community, and by crisis management, last year becoming Archbishop of Washington, D.C., the same year one of his predecessors, Theodore McCarrick, was defrocked for sex abuse.
And let's be honest, Chris, it reveals some awful events and huge mistakes on the part of church leadership.
But if you've heard of Gregory recently, it might have been in June as Black Lives Matter protesters marched through the Capitol and were violently pushed away so President Trump, Bible in hand, could pose in front of St. John's Episcopal Church. The next day, when the president visited the St. John Paul II National Shrine, Gregory called it reprehensible and baffling.
Now, Gregory tells me he hopes his relationship with President-elect Joe Biden will be marked by conversation and not condemnation. Also noteworthy at today's ceremony, he was the only new cardinal to wear a mask from start to finish. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
The UN has condemned a horrific attack on a farming community near Nigeria's Borno state capital, Maiduguri, on Saturday. Suspected Boko Haram armed militants on motorcycles killed at least 110 civilians who were harvesting their fields in Kashobi and other rural communities. The UN also says it has received reports that several women may have been kidnapped. Iran's parliament has passed a motion containing suggestions about Iran's withdrawal from the Non-Proliferation Treaty, as well as the ending of the Iranian commitment to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. According to a draft of the resolution, the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran would be authorized to produce and store at least 120 kilograms of 20% enriched uranium every year to fulfill the country's peaceful industrial demands. Semi-official news agency Tasnim reported this. Now, this comes in the wake of the alleged assassination of Iran's top nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, this past Friday. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for something to talk about.
All right, I'm going to go from that to talking about cheery things like decorating for the holiday season on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Our question, when do you think it's all right to start decorating? And Dex says for him, it's October 30th. But it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It's your house. Put them up whenever you want to. And Vicki Eldridge has that same sentiment. Vicki says it should be up to you. I've seen Christmas decorations up in July for a soldier coming home after being overseas. We put ours up after Thanksgiving. But the tree doesn't go up until the week before Christmas, and that's thanks in part to Vicky's 2 cats. Understood, Vicky. Our Insta poll this morning, we've got 80% of you saying it usually is after Thanksgiving. I like the 8% that go, it's never too early. Maybe they don't even get taken down. You can vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Now, the pandemic has changed so much about our lives, including how we shop. And while dominant retailers seem to be thriving, everyone else seems to be just hanging on. As Michael George shows us, it's why Small Business Saturday carried extra weight this year.
Black Friday 2020 was the second biggest spending day in U.S. history. But it wasn't foot traffic that drove sales. That happened online. $9 billion in sales were made, according to Adobe. But for some businesses, many of them small, independents, it's too little, too late. In New Orleans, nearly half of the shops have closed. Bryce Sanderford says coffee is about more than beans and water.
The pandemic happened and, our business just ground to a complete halt.
Since the start of the pandemic, about 29% fewer small businesses have their doors open today. Revenue has dropped 32%. And hundreds of companies that received government PPP loans have filed for bankruptcy since August, according to the Wall Street Journal. Hundreds of Philadelphia's business owners are hoping this idea sticks and bolsters their bottom line. Chris Fascinelli manages Unique Photo Store.
It's definitely important to shop local. It's almost like having a badge of honor when they're wearing the little sticker.
Some small business owners claim they're being unfairly targeted by restrictions.
Appreciate it.
When big box stores haven't. Stephanie Bozala owns this shop in Sacramento.
It's harder and harder every time a new mandate comes out.
Stores like this woman-owned small business have pushed clothing racks to the sidewalks and are reducing capacity. New York City is taking applications for $35 million in no-interest loans to many businesses across the city. In New York, Michael George, CBS News.
Black Friday shoppers in the U.S. spent a record $9 billion, over 20% more than in 2019. According to preliminary data from Sensormatic Solutions, in-store foot traffic fell a little over 50% from last year. Now, a number of major retailers like Walmart and Target were closed on Thanksgiving Day to try to curb long waiting lines. According to Adobe Analytics, Black Friday 2020 is now the second largest online spending day in United States history. Well, as for the number one online shopping day that would have to go to Cyber Monday, which kicks off today, online sales could hit at least $10.8 billion this year. According to Adobe Analytics, 1 out of every $4 is being spent online this year. Although unemployment is a concern, the National Retail Federation predicts holiday sales will rise to at least $755 billion. Well, Universal Studios Japan today announced that its long-awaited Super Nintendo World area will finally open to the public on February 4th, 2021. The attraction is the result of a 6-year collaboration with the creative team at Nintendo, including input from Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto. Now, Super Nintendo World was originally intended to open ahead of the 2020 Olympics this summer, but that was postponed in response to the oncoming COVID-19 pandemic. We'll be right back with more after this, but let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. A Utah tech company is working to produce a more efficient farm. Jordan Hogan explains.
Bateman and Mosida Farms produces milk and meat from their cows. But raising them takes a lot of feed and a lot of time. Now technology is making part of the process easier. These Olympus Tower farms are a form of robotic vertical farming.
The key is you can eliminate the weather challenges. It gives you a predictable, optimized crop every time.
It starts with the seeds being loaded into trays. Then they're wheeled up to the top of the tower to start a 6-day journey to the bottom of it for harvest. Along the way, they are watered with precision and given light from special LEDs that don't give off any heat. The whole process is automated too. GroveTech says each one of these produces 6,000 pounds of food each time it goes through its cycle. And that's through saving money and time and water and energy. And the benefits don't stop there either. They are then passed on to the consumer.
Each of these machines represent between 35 and 50 acres of land. So in this case here, 50 acres, 875 feet, and 95% less water.
Saving water and space is something that's becoming increasingly important as the demand for more homes increase and climate change increases the chances for extreme drought in the summer months.
One of the biggest challenges farmers have around the world is how do they deal with the weather and the climate and the uncertainties that come with that.
This new technology couldn't have come at a better time for the farm either.
In the first weeks and first month of COVID, things started to go a little bit crazy.
Brad Bateman is one of the farming operations partners at Bateman-Mercida Farms. He says the farm wasn't able to order in a lot of their feed at the beginning of the pandemic, threatening the cows' food supply.
Certain states were not letting trucks in, and we just the whole supply chain was disrupted.
Now they can rely on their own production of feed, and it's a model that could be adopted beyond farms in the future.
The vision that I would think, that I see is there's probably one of these in the back of every supermarket growing fresh food right in the store.
All right. Michael, what's it looking like outside?
You what, that story right there, it's a far cry from our junior high days back when we were taught about the Fertile Crescent in world history and whatnot, isn't it? That'll kind of change the old history book in the long run. Our weather almanac for today, just wanted to wrap up our precipitation since we'll be dry on this last day of November. For the month, we're actually just down about 0.2 of an inch. So really, we kind of averaged out pretty normal November, and for the year, it's just up about 1.3 inches. So all things said, watch 2020 just end up being right on par with everything else, despite the fact that we just ebbed and flowed so much during the spring and then just had that long dry spell really from about August into October. Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, where we sit only at 25 degrees, a wind chill of 17. These are actual temperatures, not a whole lot of movement even after sunrise right now as we sit in the mid-20s. And a clean Skywatch storm tracker, and when you step outside, be prepared for your body to think it's about 12 in Neodesha and Independence, 17 in Neosho and Carthage, 18 is what it feels like in Commerce. Got a good system on the other side of the trough and the jet stream through the Ohio River Valley in the northeastern portion of the U.S. As a matter of fact, from Tennessee up into Kentucky and then into southern Ohio right there, they've already picked up an inch of snow. You get on the other side of the Mississippi, high pressure, everything remains relatively dry, and the jet stream just grabs that cold Canadian air, drops it all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So we're going to be below our average temperature here to wrap up November and only make it up into the mid-40s. Overnight, we fall back down below the freezing point. Want everybody to be apprised that that'll be our theme this week, especially if you need to worry about those pipes for the sink in the bathroom and whatnot. Got a chance for a little wintry mix on Wednesday and Thursday. Not a whole lot of Gulf moisture, so it really shouldn't hamper our travel, but that's what we'll keep our eyes on as we begin December right there, and then cool all the way into the weekend. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening this week. CDC panel is set to meet tomorrow to discuss who should get a coronavirus vaccine first once one is approved. Pittsburgh Parks and Recreation Department is kicking off the holiday season with a drive-through Christmas in the Park parade today at 6 p.m. in Lincoln Park. The parade will be a drive-through only, with attendees driving by stationary floats. And the Fort Scott City Commission will assemble for a special meeting tonight at 6:15 p.m. at their City Hall. City Commission will meet to review the submitted letters of interest as well as the City Commissioners' submitted names to fill the open City Commission position. Meeting is open to the public. Let's check in with Michael for a final look at you.
Our day planner would indicate our final day of November should be about 52 degrees. We're going to be considerably below that. Remember, Overnight lows going to drop back below freezing pretty much every day on the 7-day forecast. 50s tomorrow, and yes, thine eyes do not deceive thee. Chance for a wintry mix there on Wednesday and Thursday.
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning.
We will be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.